From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Senate Committee on Power moves to halt increase in electricity tariff, demands affordable rates as Minister of Power says sector will totally collapse if upward review of tariff is stopped. Queues get longer as motorists besiege petrol stations in different parts of the country amid uncertainty over the actual cause of the latest scarcity of the product. And former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele challenges the jurisdiction of the Lagos High Court to try him on the charge of abuse of office. Court defers ruling on application till the end of trial.
On business news tonight, the president of the African Development Bank says $4 trillion is the new annual financial target to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria Football Federation settles for former Super Eagles winger Finidi George as new head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, the federal government reaffirms its commitment to collaborate with Interpol and other relevant agencies to tackle cybercrime.
And in international news from London, Joe Biden has reiterated his position on Rafah to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the US cannot support a military operation on the city.
Discussion in the country, but the Senate Committee on Power has decided to wade into the debate. They are demanding affordable tariffs and also want the increase to be halted for consultation to be carried out in order to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians. The lawmakers made their position known at an investigative hearing on the electricity tariff hike in Abuja. However, the Minister of Power, who appeared before the committee, raised concerns about the sustainability of the power without tariff increase, noting that only customers enjoying 20 hours of the electricity will pay. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
Committee members here.
The hike in electricity tariff in the face of the power drought in many parts of the country is at the heart of conversations here at this one-day investigative hearing. The Minister of Power, the Electricity Regulatory Commission, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the CBN and other stakeholders appear before the committee as the lawmakers raise questions bordering on the inefficiency in the sector.
What you have just done, because that's the kind of conversation we're having here. Can we really classify Nigerians into these different categories? We made it a conditional tariff. We made it a service-reflective tariff. On this, I can actually assure Nigerians that any customer that is not enjoying 20 hours will not pay the new tariff regime.
Stakeholders took turns to share their perspectives and fears.
We are calling for a reversal and a suspension of the implementation of the new tariff to enable all stakeholders have meaningful dialogue around the process and methodology of determining the electricity tariff, as well as jointly agreeing on the transparent mechanism required for tariff setting.
As reality sank, the atmosphere became charged.
Minister, you are not going to be minister forever. You will become like us, maybe in the next 4 years. And you are going to face this problem. I'm just telling you. No, you are not like me now. You are privileged. Minister, those policies are not working. You have to go back to the drawing board. Rethink about them. Come back with a better solution is beg these companies, beg Siemens or ABB to take over this. They have the resources to run this thing. It's not too late.
As senators and a lot of our neighbors, we monitored what we get for Band A, and it is nowhere, not even 50% of what the discourse say we are to get, and that we can verify.
Other lawmakers are also clearly dissatisfied, expressly blaming the minister.
The issue of removal of subsidy, we are there. If you are comfortable At home, are a lot of people so comfortable? There's no way we can add this electricity increase now to petroleum subsidy removal at the same time and expect people not to be suffocated.
In the past, there were no consequences for such actions. Somebody takes 22 or 50-something billion and he says he cannot appear before the Senate. What is the EFCC doing? Is it only for politicians? Is it only for individuals?
As the nation continues to groan under the brunt of the protracted challenge, the minister makes one demand to engender a short to medium-term solution.
Let us use this 15% band A as a proof of concept. Let's use it as a pilot. And let's use it as if it's a sacrifice that we all must pay. Receptive to the step that we have taken. It was not targeted at hurting Nigerians further. Impress it on the generators. We want to improve generation to 6,000. If the people want tariff to remain at this level, in 3 months, sincerely, the entire country will be in darkness. I can assure you that. And God forbid. But we need to make progress.
The lawmakers are apparently left more dissatisfied than when they began. They have thrown a challenge to the federal government to introduce strategies that would improve the ailing sector, as they promise to wield the big stick on any agency found culpable. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
So the Judiciary now, the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja, has deferred till the end of trial its ruling on the application filed by the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, challenging the jurisdiction of the Lagos High Court to try him on the charge brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Through his lawyer, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olalekan Ojo, Mr. Emefiele submitted that he cannot be tried in the High Court of any state in Nigeria for alleged acts of abuse of his office, as this raises issues of constitutionality and legality. The former CBN governor also noted that counts 1 to 4 of the 26 counts charged filed by the EFCC against him are unconstitutional, as they are not contained in any law in Nigeria, and then asked the court to strike them out. But the EFCC, through its counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Rotimi Oyedepo, countered these arguments. Citing cases of the Supreme Court, he asked the trial judge, Justice Rahman Oshodi, not to defer or prevent the trial of the case on the basis of objections challenging the particulars of the accounts of the information. In another legal matter, alleged terrorist negotiator Mohammed Tukur Mamu, currently on trial for terrorism offences, has filed an application with the Federal High Court in Abuja to transfer him out of the custody of the Department of State Services, the DSS. He requested Justice Inyang Ekwo to modify the remand order against him, opting for remand at the Kuje prison instead of the DSS custody. At the resumption of his trial, Mr. Mamu, through his lawyer, Abdul Mohammed, alleged that the court's order on December the 19th, 2023, granting him access to his personal physician for medical treatment was not adhered to by the DSS. The Senior Advocate of Nigeria claimed that although Mr. Mamu was allowed access to the physician once, after which a report on a comprehensive medical examination was submitted to the DSS, there has been no further access to the physician since then. He argued that Mr. Mamu urgently requires surgical operation in any hospital in the country, as his health has significantly deteriorated. The judge has therefore scheduled May the 20th for the ruling on Mr. Mamu's request. The Imo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has reserved its judgment in the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Samuel Anyanwu, challenging the victory of Governor Hope Uzodinma of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the election held in November last year. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice Akinto Osadebe, announced the adjournment after the PDP adopted their final written address asking the tribunal to declare its candidate winner of the election. But the Governor's Counsel, Mr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, urged the tribunal to dismiss the petition as the petitioner's allegation was never properly proven. More on the judiciary. A Kano High Court is scheduled May the 16th this year to rule on the contentious issue of serving criminal charges to former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, his wife Hafsat, and 6 others via substituted means. This follows a request by the prosecuting counsel in the criminal case, Barrister Adeola Adelegbe. Now, Justice Usman Naba, however, refused to expedite his ruling on the matter as requested by one of the counsels. In the meantime, the Judicial Commission of Inquiry on the Recovery of Misappropriated Public Properties and Assets set up by the Kano State Government has called on the public to come forward with evidence to help in the investigation of the administration of the former governor. The chairman of the commission, Justice Farouk Adamu, made this request today at the inaugural sitting of the commission in Kano. Local government chairmen in Rivers State are asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to compel the Inspector General of Police and the Director General State Security Service to provide them adequate security for their lives and property. In an originating summons instituted on their behalf by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mahmoud Abubakar, the council chairman also sought order of the court against the Attorney General of the Federation not to allow any other laws to be implemented for local government areas in Rivers State other than the ones enacted by the State House of Assembly. They predicated their fears on alleged threat and boast by the Rivers State government not to implement or enforce the laws made by the State House of Assembly for the local governments. The chairman also wants a declaration that no organ of any government has power to withhold the financial allocations due to local governments in Rivers State. No date has been set for hearing of the originating summons. Recently, the Rivers State House of Assembly vetoed Governor Siminalayi Fubara and enacted an amendment to the local government law which confers powers on the lawmakers to extend the tenure of the council chairman. Besides the increase in electricity tariff, citizens have continued to grapple with hike in the price of petrol due to the persistent scarcity of the product. At many fuel stations in Lagos and other parts of the country, long queues can be seen as motorists struggle to fuel their vehicles. Black marketers are also back on the roads, selling at exorbitant prices.
Let's begin in Lagos, as an all too familiar scene surfaces across the metropolis. It started last week and has persisted into the new week. This situation, for instance, on Itire Road in Surulere is the only dispensing station accounting for the long queues. A quick stop at Ondo State comes with this same tale. Theirs is laced with an appeal to the government and relevant agencies to find solution to the lingering fuel scarcity in the country. Only a few outlets, as always, are dispensing fuel, compelling some residents to opt for commercial transportation.
We want the government to come out and tell us the truth about the fuel, because the suffering is just too much. And the implication of fuel scarcity, it will affect all other products. And with the citizen, we are suffering a lot. And combined with this issue of fuel scarcity, you could see by yourself now that, there's queue all over the areas.
Just a moment. Rivers State is reporting a different story in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Fuel scarcity has not been noticed. However, prices have seen a slight upward review to 700 naira per litre. The queue at this NNPC fueling station is understandable because fuel is sold here at 591 naira per litre. We tried to see the situation in the northeast of Nigeria, and we can report that a litre of PMS sells at 1,000 naira in Damaturu, the state capital, while the off-shelf price sells between 1,200 to 1,300 naira.
When you have a vehicle to move from one place to other, one need at least minimum of 5 liters, which is 5,000 naira. It's too costly.
Prices are currently surging upstream, and not necessarily due to market forces, but supply constraints. Subsidy removal does not automatically translate to product availability. Nigeria is a crude production country and not yet a net exporter of constituent products. More local functional refineries plus national assets will resolve and forestall future occurrences. But after all is said and done, what will matter the most is for normalcy to return. Until then, this is where we are. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, is also commenting on the fuel scarcity situation in the country. Plus, we have more stories from the courts. This time, a high court in Abuja has fixed May the 2nd to hear the case of $1 million scam allegedly committed by one Abayami Oluwasesan on a crypto platform. Please stay with us.
Mr. Mike. I'm excited to let you know that you have successfully moved your pension account to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers. I just sent you an email. Please take a look while I go over some of the benefits you start to enjoy immediately.
Move to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers today and let us help you retire into your extraordinary future. Call 01-271-6000 or visit www.stanbicibtcpension.com for more information.
Mr. Mike, are you there?
What the?
Today, Abu got a really expensive ride. Chill, Abu. Use InDrive and negotiate for the most fair price for you. InDrive, people driven.
Oh no!
After a party, Binta needs a safe ride. Binta, get InDrive and choose rides by driver's rating, car, and time of arrival. InDrive, people driven.
Pain with Easedol. For fast relief from pains and fever, Easedol comes in easy-to-swallow tablets for adults and suspension for children. Easedol, ease the pain. A product of May and Baker. If symptoms persist after 2 days, please see your doctor.
Enjoy the delicious creamy goodness of cowbells. With Vitarich and vitamin B9, which supports brain development. Cowbell, so creamy, so good.
Do you know that you can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home? It's the Cast Print Combo Deal for all events.
Yes!
Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 Naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high-quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913-156-5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Cast Prints, digital printing at super speed.
Of the product. Former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele challenges the jurisdiction of the Lagos High Court to try him on the charge of abuse of office. Court defers ruling on application till the end of trial. And Joe Biden reiterates his position on Rafah to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The national president of the Independent Petrol and Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Mr. Zarman Mustafa, is optimistic that the current fuel scarcity situation will be resolved within the next 5 to 10 days. Mr. Mustafa told Channels Television that the association provided this timeline because Petroleum Motor Spirit, PMS, cargoes are already on the coast and vessels had been dispatched to bring in the product.
From the meeting we had with the MD, NNPC Retail, last week, Thursday, we have an extensive meeting as regards to how best we can synergize to bring solution to this supply gap. We have agreed on a lot of positions, and there are enough products in the on the coastal water that smaller 20,000, 15,000 metric tons ships have gone to bring down to the coastal depot. And we have enough trucks in all parts of the country that we can evacuate whatever volume that is available for off-road transmission to our retail outlets. 2 weeks is even too much. Maybe by 1 week or 10 days. Especially Abuja. Abuja will not be up to 2 weeks. Abuja will maybe by Friday you will see a lot of difference. because the product is there. It's the logistics of bringing it down to retail outlets that is remaining. So I believe that 10 days is enough.
More from the Judiciary, and a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has fixed May the 2nd to hear the case of scam in the sum of $87 million allegedly committed by one Abayomi Oluwasesan on the crypto platform Afric Arbitrage. Now, the case couldn't go ahead as the accused wasn't produced in court, with the authorities saying they have not been given the go-ahead to bring inmates to court following the recent Suleja jailbreak. Now, the accused, along with his wife, has been charged by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetukun, for purportedly accessing millions of subscribers' investments at the online crypto trading platform. The absence of Oluwasesan in court for trial therefore prompted the adjournment of the case till May the 2nd. So let's head to the nation's capital now, and Gloria Mizuke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria. Great to see you.
Many thanks, Ayo. Here in Abuja, we begin with a reaffirmation by the federal government to collaborate with Interpol and other relevant agencies in tackling issues of cybercrime. Addressing participants at the 10th Africa Working Group on Cybercrime for Heads of Unit, the Minister of Police Affairs, Mr. Ibrahim Gaidam, says the federal government remains committed to the global fight against cybercrime.
It is the 10th Africa Working Group on Cybercrime for Heads of Units as representatives of various agencies converged on Abuja. The Director of Cybercrime of Interpol begins the conversation as he harps on the need for effective collaboration.
The policing responsibility we carry is substantial and ever-changing. It involves acquiring information, making decisions, and sometimes making difficult choices. Your experience, wisdom, and dedication are invaluable in this ever-evolving landscape of cyber threats. The challenges we face may seem daunting at times, but it is your resilience and determination that continues to drive progress and innovation in combating cybercrime.
For the Inspector General of Police and the Vice President Africa of Interpol, the threat of cybercrime is a global phenomenon that must be contained.
The rise of cyber criminal activities poses significant challenges to our law enforcement agencies, requiring us to adapt swiftly and collaboratively to effectively combat these threats.
As you may be aware, transnational organized crime is a source of the illegal global economy, and this industry is not stagnant, but adapting the new markets and creating new forms of crime. This industry is an illegal business that transcends culture, social linguistics, and geographical boundaries.
Without mincing words, the federal government reaffirms a commitment to tackle the menace.
The federal government of Nigeria is deeply committed to strengthening the capacity of our law enforcement agencies in the fight against cybercrime and indeed all forms of cybersecurity breaches.
The 10th Africa Working Group on Cybercrime for Heads of Units, which continued behind closed doors, is aimed at reviewing strategies and other collaborative efforts that will ensure a safe cyberspace for all.
Meanwhile, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, says Nigeria is set to harness the potential of its youthful population to transform into a global digital powerhouse. Vice President Shettima said this at the meeting of African heads of state and government on the 21st replenishment of the International Development Association in Nairobi, Kenya. He reiterated Nigeria's plans to build a vast digital market capable of absorbing cutting-edge innovations and technologies, positioning the country as a hub for outsourcing talent in the digital and creative economic spheres. A former National Commissioner in charge of voter education, Mr. Festus Okoye, is advocating political party reforms as part of ways to improve electoral outcomes in the country. According to him, no amount of endless reforms will help the country's electoral system get better unless the political parties and the operators are willing to be reformed. Mr. Okoye said this at the post-2023 General Elections Reflection Roundtable organized by Yaga Africa in Abuja.
It's been 1 year and 2 months since the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, and members of Yaga Africa and development partners are holding this roundtable to reflect on the needed reforms to be pursued going forward. Conversations around how the outcome of the 2023 general elections has affected the perceptions of voters top discussions here.
Reflection is a key feature of every system. If we cannot reflect, if we don't have the culture of reflecting, then we wouldn't know where we are coming from or where we're going to. The lessons from the last elections, both the presidential, the governorship, the legislative, the off-cycle elections we had later in the year, that's Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi, and then the rerun and by-elections that we had this year. There were things that we never thought would happen, things as simple as pre-filled result sheets before elections are conducted. Those are things that shouldn't happen in any sane climate, and we should be worried about that.
The second major trend is the unknown stance of the Tinubu-led administration on electoral reform. After 1 year of the last general elections, the president has not made any comment or even shared, what his stance or the stance of his administration on electoral reforms.
The crux of this conference is a reflection of the 2023 general elections and the reforms needed to be pursued. The former INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education, Mr. Festus Okoye, advocates urgent political party reforms.
It seems to me that electoral reforms last for 2 electoral cycles in Nigeria, and the political elite will find an antidote on how to combat it. So I think that one of the things we must do as a people and as a nation is to focus on the organization of political parties, focus on the internal dynamics of the political parties, and also get the political parties to reform themselves. If the political parties do the right things, that our electoral process will begin to improve.
It is expected that the recommendations from this roundtable will form a basis for the next round of electoral reforms that civil society groups in the electoral space will pursue.
In other stories, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Dele Alake, says the ministry is looking to entrenching value addition as a crucial standard for mining operations in the country. He said this is a key aspect of the ministry's 7-point agenda aimed at job creation and advancement of the economy. He was speaking at a meeting in Abuja. Our correspondent Sarah Achimogu reports.
This gathering has the current Minister of Solid Minerals Development, a former Minister of Information, along with partners and stakeholders deeply involved in the extractive industry. The assembly aims to discuss and strategize on enhancing sustainable practices, fostering innovation, and addressing challenges within the extractive sector. The former Minister of Information, Mr. Lai Mohammed, sets the tone for the conversation that will be crucial for the 2-day roundtable.
We are committed to fostering meaningful dialogue and cooperation among diverse stakeholders, transcending traditional barriers and fostering a culture of mutual understanding and collaboration.
Nigeria, like most developing countries, faces challenges in the solid minerals sector. To address these challenges, however, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development has a strategy that will boost its contribution to the economy.
Henceforth, we will no longer approve licenses or applications for mining licenses without a critical path of local value addition in the application. No more. And I have already started to implement this.
The Nasarawa State Governor, Mr. Abdullahi Sule, underscores abundant mineral potentials in the state and how the sector can impact livelihoods.
If you know the tippers that are taking lithium, these big tippers, that are 15 tons tippers, it will mean 500 of those tippers a day that are going to be feeding that factory. And that is just in one location in Nasarawa State. And as if that is not enough, We are now beginning to see another site that has even bigger amount of lithium than even that one that will be doing 18,000. This is how much Nigeria is blessed.
This partnership between the government and the private sector is expected to stimulate sustainable growth in the mining industry while simultaneously addressing environmental and social issues.
But still ahead on the news at 10, the president of the Africa Development Bank says $4 trillion is the new annual financial target to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. But that's some business news. Please join us again.
First Money is Nigeria's biggest and most preferred agent banking network. Thanks to First Money, millions of people are living their dreams. Meet some First Money agents who are driving this.
One Kechi Kireke from First Bank introduced me to First Money. I forgot searching for jobs.
Ya taimaki mutane sosai wurin matsowa kusa da yanayin banki. Da sai sun tafiya mai nisa kamin su je su samu banki.
Through First Money, over 1 million people across Nigeria have their financial services needs met daily. In all the accessible local government areas, you are bound to find First Money agents. With First Money, we're bringing financial inclusion and the many benefits that come with it. You first. First Bank.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. No cubes. That's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. To the debate on energy transition, the Minister of State for Petroleum Oil, Mr. Heineken Lupobiri, has reaffirmed the need for Nigeria and other African countries to be allowed to implement the transition on their own pace. The minister restated Nigeria's position at the special meeting of the World Economic Forum taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
For Africa, our position is that we are not against energy transition. We have our own plans to transit, but allow us to transit at our own pace. We want the investments to come. Not this embargo that are placing on Africa. Not this embargo that are placing on, investment. Those who are saying that we should do transition, we should abandon fossil fuel themselves, are not abandoning it. US is the highest producer of oil. Britain just gave about 100 licenses last year for new explorations in the North Sea. Why don't we deploy some of the promised resources that has never come? Since the Paris Agreement, they have promised hundreds of billions of dollars, not even $1 to come. Why don't we call on the Western countries that are responsible for these emissions to use part of that promised resources to develop technologies that will take even 20% of the emissions and the world will be safe for the next 50, 100 years. So what we told them was that, from the African perspective, allow us to transit at our own level, at our own pace. Africa's problem is energy poverty. Those from the developed world is sustainability of the comfort they're already enjoying. And so we cannot transit at the same pace. And I think there was consensus among the panelists that, look, every continent, every country should be allowed to transit, at its own pace.
Well, that's it from Abuja. It's back to you, Ayo, for more on the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Gloria. It's an early May Day present for workers in Edo State as Governor Gordon Obaseki has announced a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira effective from May the 1st this year. Governor Obaseki made this known during the commissioning of a new Labour Secretariat, which is named after former Labour leader Comrade Adams Oshomole in Benin City, the Edo State capital. He, however, adds that the new wage is still subject to immediate review if the federal government announces a higher figure.
We, as a government, feel your pain. We know that what we pay, your take-home pay, can barely take you home. We will continue to try. And I am one of those governors who believe that we cannot run away from the fact that we must adjust the minimum wage of workers in Nigeria. Been nice for there to be a central and cohesive and common approach. We would have expected that by now there will be a direction as to what minimum wage should be for workers in Nigeria. We don't know when that will happen. And as a state, if it happens, fine. But if it doesn't happen, we will still have to do what we need to do. And so, for us in Edo State, we have decided that we will move minimum wage effective May 1 to 70,000 naira.
In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah has described the recent attack that resulted in the death of 4 people in Nimbo as unacceptable and has vowed to bring the perpetrators to book. Suspected herdsmen were said to have attacked some mourners in Ugwujoro community in Nimbo on Sunday evening, killing 4 persons and injuring many others. The governor, who visited the community, condoled the bereaved families and assured the people that government will work with community and security agencies to strengthen security in the area.
I don't think that we really do have any reason to exist as government if we cannot guarantee the safety of our people. Because the primary purpose of government is to guarantee the security and the well-being of its citizens. Okay, so we would have really no reason to exist as government if we cannot guarantee your safety. We're pained. We're truly pained by such dastardly killing. It's absolutely senseless that a people who are living quietly within their environment, you have people who would trespass, come into their locality and open fire on them. That is inexcusable, is unacceptable, and we are not going to stop at anything. We're going to identify, we're going to track these culprits. We're going to pursue them wherever they are. We're going to capture them, and we're going to make sure that we bring them to justice.
Still talking crime matters, this time in Rivers State, where the police have arrested 16 male suspects over the murder of Inspector Christiana Erekere on April the 25th this year. The police spokesperson at the command, Grace Eringa Kokom, explained that the men were stopped for routine checks at the checkpoint in Bori of Kana local government area, but they became agitated and proceeded to barricade the road, obstructing the movement of other vehicles. She adds that after completing the necessary checks, the police officer requested that the individuals leave the scene, but then they refused. According to the police spokesperson, the men alleging that Inspector Rekere had recorded a video of their disruptive behavior demanded that she handed over the phone to them. They allegedly attacked against her, striking her with stones, which ultimately led to her death. To company news, the UJ Eswene Stadium in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, will from tomorrow, April the 30th to May the 3rd this year, host the second edition of the MTN Champs event sponsored by the mobile telephone network MTN Nigeria. Addressing a press conference in Calabar to herald the event, the Chief Marketing Officer of MTN Nigeria, Adia Soho, says the vision is a testament to MTN's collective effort to groom younger athletes across the nation.
All eyes will be on the UJ Eswene Stadium in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, from April 30 to May 3 as 2,291 athletes across 4 age groups compete for honors in the grand finale of Season 2 of the MTN Champs in the Paradise City. The program, according to the Chief Marketing Officer of MTN Nigeria, is aimed at developing and nurturing talent across the nation, in addition to transforming the sporting landscape of Nigeria.
This grand finale is an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of our athletes, our coaches, and our organizers. It's a chance to recognize the countless hours of training, the moments of triumph, and all the bonds that were forged under a shared love of athletics.
The founder of Making Champions gives further insights into what the program hopes to achieve in the long run.
It's been a 10-year mission to bring this to light in Nigeria, and we're thankful that MTN saw the vision and caught this vision. And now that MTN Champs is here, we are very, very excited about how it's going to change Nigeria. It's going to change Nigerian sports. You're going to see more Nigerians at the Olympics winning medals.
For the Cross River State government, the program is worth supporting because it has the potential to identify and develop budding athletes, just as the Vice President of Nigeria School Sports Federation highlights the benefits of the MTN Champs initiative.
For a long time, sports in Cross River State had gone a bit low, and in order to revive it, in order to rejig sports in Cross River State, the Cross River State government does everything possible to capture events like this.
We are doing this program because our own is like a feeder program to both state, national, and international teams. So we produce these children, we bring them at this early stage and groom them. We have synergy with the Sports Council and hand over them to qualified coaches so that they can become world beaters tomorrow.
The MTN Champs initiative is praised for its efforts towards catching young athletes early, and the support from various organizations and government bodies highlights the positive impact this program can have on the future of sports development in Nigeria.
Right back to the court, and news just in, where Justice Amy Kanwita of the Federal High Court Abuja has granted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, an interim order to freeze 1,146 bank accounts belonging to individuals and companies being investigated for alleged offenses bordering on unauthorized dealing in foreign exchange, money laundering, and terrorism financing. The judge ordered that the accounts be frozen pending conclusion of investigations. The judge further stated that there was need to preserve the funds in the identified bank accounts pending conclusion of investigation and possible prosecution. Justice Wite adjourned the matter till July the 23rd this year for mention. The companies affected by the freezing order range from entities involved in agribusiness, logistics and haulage, microfinance banks, engineering, among others. Time now for some business news with Melinda Akilami.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
And thanks, Ayotunde. Welcome to Business News. The president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has underscored the urgent need for more financing to bridge the $4 trillion annual gap in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The AFDB president, who made this known in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, emphasized the need for collaboration and innovation amidst economic uncertainties and environmental crisis. He also outlined immediate action and innovative funding requirements in critical areas, including climate change, food security, energy access, health security, and resource mobilization for SDGs. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reversed its decision on the foreign exchange rate used for calculating import duty at the nation's seaport, opting to increase it by 14% just a day after announcing a slash. According to data from the Nigeria Customs Service Trade Portal, the new customs FX duty rate stands at 1,327 naira 35 kobo to a dollar, up from the previous rate of 1,164 naira 84 kobo. Meanwhile, the uncertainty surrounding the CBN's decisions and their impact on import-related costs raises concerns about the stability in the country's trade environment. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, says the petrol scarcity currently spreading to more states across the country will take at least 2 weeks to normalize. IPMAN's public relations officer, Mr. Chinedu Ikadike, who made this known to journalists, explains that the product is not available in the country, as most refineries in Europe are undergoing turnaround maintenance. This is coming against the assurance made by NNPC Limited last week that the country has adequate stock of the product, while the logistic issue, which caused the fuel scarcity, had been resolved. Latest report from FMDQ Exchange shows that the Debt Management Office, DMO, sold a total of 2.67 trillion naira worth of treasury bills in the month of March. According to the FMDQ monthly markets report, the figure represents a 3.07% increase from February sales of 2.59 trillion naira. In addition, federal government bonds worth 608.86 billion naira were sold in March, marking a 35.3% oversubscription of the offered amount and reflecting a 59.27% decrease from February sales of 1.49 trillion naira across 7-year and 10-year bond maturities. The domestic equities market opened the first day of trading this week in the red as banks race to meet the April 30th bank recapitalization deadline. John Mekwa tells us more.
Hello everyone, welcome to the stock market report. Well, for the 6th straight week, we see the all-share index retaining that negative sentiment. And today, the market went down even more than we thought, 0.28%. Losing the 98,000 index point to 97,879.94, shaving off a whole lot of money from the market cap at 55.357 trillion naira. Now, the details are in the sectors. And the most liquid sector, of course, is the driver of the market today. Banking lost 0.41%. That's because of Zenith Bank. After the meeting it had with shareholders and they've agreed to go into a corporation company, we've seen that it lost 5% from its share price at the close of Monday's trade. Oil and gas marginally down 0.02%. A whole lot of money also shaved off from holders of stocks in the consumer goods sector. So the first trading day of the week, we see the activity chart really red. But the biggest red there is from the value, more than 100% compared to what we closed with on Friday. So all of this is red, but it's to the joy of the bear.
Thanks, Ini. Let's hope we see some green numbers tomorrow. But time to check out the performance of other major stock markets.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Melinda. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hopes Hamas will accept what he has called Israel's extraordinarily generous offer for a Gaza truce and hostage release deal. Mr. Blinken was speaking as a Hamas delegation discussed the new proposal with mediators from Egypt and Qatar. Here's Simon Pearson with more international news and Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Joe Biden has reiterated his clear position on Rafah to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the US cannot support a military operation on the city. It comes as the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says the US is the only country that can stop Israel from attacking Rafah, the southern Gazan city where more than 1 million people are taking refuge. Mr. Abbas, who runs parts of the occupied West Bank, said any attack could see Palestinians flee Gaza. More than half of Gaza's population is in the city, which Israel has consistently vowed to carry out an offensive on. The US has repeatedly said it cannot support a large-scale Israeli military operation in Rafah without seeing a credible plan to keep civilians out of harm's way. World Central Kitchen is to resume distributing food in Gaza nearly a month after 7 of its aid workers were killed in an Israeli airstrike. The aid organization said it has 276 trucks with 8 million meals ready to enter through the Rafah crossing. Earlier this month, the charity said a convoy leaving a warehouse was attacked by Israel, killing 7 and sparking an international outcry. The Israel Defense Forces admitted grave mistakes led to the fatal strike against the workers and dismissed 2 senior officers over the incident. Humza Yousaf has resigned as Scotland's First Minister after failing to secure support to lead a minority government. The SNP leader has been under pressure since he ended a power-sharing deal with the Scottish Greens last week.
And may I say to Megan Gallagher, it is brave.
Opposition parties in the Scottish Parliament had tabled 2 confidence votes, one in the First Minister and another in the SNP government.
While a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power. Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible.
Officials have said more than 40 people have died in Kenya after a dam burst following heavy rains and flooding. Homes were swept away and roads were cut off after the dam burst in Kamachiri village in western Kenya. There are still more people in the mud, Nakuru County Governor Susan Kihika said. More than 100 people have been killed in floods that have devastated parts of Kenya in the last month. Rescue teams are digging through the mud in search of survivors in the village near the small town of Mai Mahui, about 60 kilometers from the capital Nairobi. The Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has said he will stay on as Spain's leader following 5 days of speculation over his future. Last week, Mr. Sanchez announced he was cancelling all official engagements after a court opened an initial inquiry into his wife over corruption claims. He called the allegations a harassment campaign orchestrated by right-wing media. Mr. Sanchez has been in power since 2018. Rallies have taken place across Australia in response to a wave of recent violence against women.
1, 2, 3, 4!
Demonstrators want gender-based violence to be declared a national emergency and stricter laws put in place to stop it. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the issue was a national crisis. In Australia, a woman has been killed on average every 4 days so far this year. Speaking at a march in the capital Canberra, attended by thousands of protesters, Mr. Albanese admitted the government at all levels needed to do better. And a family in the United States has been reunited with their pet cat after she was accidentally mailed hundreds of miles to California with a package return. Galeana disappeared from her home in Utah earlier this month, prompting widespread searches for the beloved missing Moggy. She was rescued by an Amazon worker nearly a week after jumping into one of the family's packages undetected. The cat was in good health despite having had no food or water for days. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. In the world of sports, the Nigeria Football Federation has appointed former ace winger Finidi George as head coach of the Super Eagles. The Yimba international head coach who spent 20 months as assistant to Jose Peseiro before the Portuguese left the post voluntarily as head coach of the three-time African champions, took charge of the squad in interim capacity during 2 friendly matches in Morocco last month. His immediate task will be to guide the Super Eagles to victory in 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against South Africa and Benin Republic in Uyo and Abidjan in a little over 5 weeks. Tennis now, Rafael Nadal says he's doing his best to... American teenager Coco Gauff has been dumped out of the Madrid Open by fellow American Madison Keys in the last 16, losing 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. The world number 3, who has not reached a WTA final on clay since losing the 2022 French Open showpiece to Iga Swiatek-led 4-2 in the deciding set. But Keys won 4 straight games to secure victory.
And Madison Keys pulls off the relative upset, certainly as it looked on paper.
What a dominant display there by Madison Keys. That's Sporting Tonight. I'm Kelly. Is back to you today.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The Senate Committee on Power today moved to halt increase in electricity tariff as it demanded affordable rates. Meanwhile, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adeolabu, said the sector will totally collapse if upward review of tariff is stopped. And former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele has challenged the jurisdiction of the Lagos High Court to try him on the charge of abuse of office, just as the second prosecution witness told the court that Mr. Emefiele does not award contracts without collecting bribes. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. To have a good night.
Hello and welcome. This is Entertainment News on Channels Television and my name is Abidemi Dairo. Today on the program,